Welcome to our deep dive into the world of AI. It's kind of like stepping into a sci-fi movie,
Yeah.
except it's our reality.
Yeah.
We've got research papers and news articles, even some philosophical musings on AI and its impact on our lives.
It really is fascinating how fast things are moving, and we're all trying to figure out what it means for the future.
Yeah, exactly. So for this deep dive, we're going to explore three key areas where AI is making waves, the impact on the workforce, its role in healthcare, and the debate about AI sentience. Are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's start with the topic that's probably on everyone's mind, AI and jobs.
Right. Will robots steal our jobs, or
Mhm.
will they create new opportunities?
It's like this tug of war between hope and fear, and one of our sources, this AI for the people debate, really highlights this tension.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is that both sides make some good points. The pro-AI camp argues that AI will actually create more jobs than it displaces. They talk about the emergence of new roles like AI developers, data scientists, even AI ethicists.
So instead of replacing humans, AI will push us towards higher skilled, more specialized roles. It sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, the other side of the debate, the con AI folks, bring us back down to earth a little. They argue that while some new jobs will definitely be created, many existing jobs are at high risk of automation, especially in manufacturing, retail, and administrative work.
Yeah, I can definitely see their point. We're already seeing self-checkout kiosks replacing cashiers
Yeah.
and online retailers using AI to manage their warehouses.
Exactly. And the question that keeps coming up is, will these new AI-related jobs be enough to offset the potential job losses? And even if they are, how do we make sure that workers have the skills and support to transition into these new roles?
That's a really crucial point. We can't just assume that everyone will seamlessly adapt to this AI-powered future. We need proactive solutions.
Absolutely. One of the sources suggests that we need to rethink our approach to education and training. Instead of just focusing on traditional academic paths, we need to prioritize skills that are more likely to be in high demand in an AI-driven economy.
It's like coding data analysis, problem solving, and even things like creativity and critical thinking,
Right.
right? Skills that robots can't easily replicate.
Precisely. And it's not just about individual skills. Governments and businesses need to work together to create strong retraining programs and safety nets for workers who are displaced by automation.
I see what you mean. We need to be prepared for the potential disruption and ensure that everyone benefits from the AI revolution, not just a select few.
Right. It's not just about surviving the changes. It's about thriving in this new landscape.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential impact of AI on jobs, both the good and the bad. Now let's shift gears and talk about another area where AI is making a big splash: healthcare. This is where things get really interesting and maybe even a little bit unsettling.
It's a fascinating area, full of potential, but also ethical dilemmas.
Yeah, one of our sources talks about how AI is revolutionizing diagnostics. Imagine algorithms that can analyze massive amounts of medical data and spot patterns that human doctors might miss.
It's like having a superpowered medical detective. Working alongside every doctor, AI could detect diseases like cancer at much earlier stages, leading to more effective treatments and better outcomes for patients.
That's incredible. Faster, more accurate diagnoses could truly be life-saving. But I have a feeling there's a flip side to this coin, right?
There always is. And in this case, it's the ethical considerations surrounding data privacy. We're talking about AI systems having access to our most sensitive medical records.
Right. What happens to that data? Who has access to it? And how do we ensure that it's used responsibly and ethically?
These are some of the big questions being raised right now. There's a real concern that this valuable medical data could be misused, either intentionally or unintentionally.
It's like opening Pandora's box. We want the benefits of AI-powered healthcare, but we also want to protect our privacy and ensure that this technology is used for good, not for harm.
And that's the tightrope we're walking right now. One of the sources suggests exploring solutions like data anonymization and blockchain technology to create more secure and transparent systems for managing medical data.
It sounds like we're still in the early stages of figuring all of this out.
We are, but the conversation is happening, and that's a good sign. We need to be proactive in addressing these ethical concerns as AI becomes more integrated into our healthcare systems.
Okay, so we've covered the potential impact of AI on jobs and healthcare. Now brace yourselves, because we're about to enter the realm of the truly mind-bending AI sentience. Is it even possible? And if it is, what does that mean for humanity?
It's a question that has philosophers, scientists, and even science fiction writers scratching their heads.
One of our sources dives into this debate, exploring the arguments both for and against the possibility of AI consciousness.
The pro-sentience camp argues that as AI systems become more complex and sophisticated, They'll eventually reach a point where they develop genuine consciousness.
Wait, so they're saying that machines could actually become self-aware, have thoughts, feelings, maybe even a soul?
That's the gist of it. They point to the rapid advances in machine learning and neural networks as evidence that AI consciousness might not be as far-fetched as it sounds.
But wouldn't that fundamentally change our relationship with technology? I mean, if machines can think and feel like humans, do they deserve the same rights and considerations?
Those are exactly the questions that are being debated, and the ethical implications are huge.
So is it just a matter of time before AI becomes sentient? Or is there something fundamentally different about human consciousness that machines can never replicate?
Hmm. That's where the consentience camp comes in. They argue that while AI can simulate intelligence and even mimic human behavior, it
Ah.
doesn't necessarily mean it's truly conscious.
So they're saying that just because a machine can pass the Turing test, for example, doesn't mean it truly understands what it's doing.
Exactly. They point to arguments like the Chinese room thought experiment to highlight the difference between simulating intelligence and actually having a conscious experience.
Okay, I'm officially mind blown. This is getting deep.
It is, but it's an important conversation to have. The potential for AI sentience, whether it's a real possibility or just a philosophical thought experiment, forces us to confront some fundamental questions about what it means to be human.
I'm ready to delve deeper into these philosophical waters.
So let's unpack these arguments a little bit. You mentioned the Turing test. It's a classic thought experiment, but it's more relevant now than ever in the age of AI.
Remind me how the Turing test works again.
Okay, so imagine you're having a conversation with two entities. One is human and one is a machine, but you don't know which is which. If the machine can converse in a way that's indistinguishable from the human, then it passes the Turing test.
So it's basically a test to see if a machine can fool us into thinking it's human.
Right, exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Chinese room argument, proposed by philosopher John Searle, challenges the very foundation of the Turing test.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this Chinese room.
Okay, so picture this. You have a person who doesn't understand Chinese. They're locked in a room. And they have this rule book that tells them how to manipulate Chinese symbols. People outside the room slip questions written in Chinese under the door. And the person inside, using the rule book, manipulates the symbols and sends back answers that are grammatically correct Chinese.
So the person inside the room is basically acting like a computer program, following instructions to produce outputs, even though they don't actually understand the meaning.
Exactly. The person might be able to convincingly speak Chinese, but they don't actually understand the language or the questions being asked.
I see where you're going with this Searle's argument, is that even if a machine can pass the Turing test, it doesn't necessarily mean that it understands the meaning behind its actions or that it's truly conscious. It's just following a set of rules, like the person in the Chinese room.
Exactly. And that's the heart of the debate about AI sentience. Even if AI can mimic human behavior perfectly, can we ever really know for sure that it's genuinely experiencing the world the way we do?
That's a really profound question. It makes you think about the nature of consciousness itself.
It really does. And it also raises some pretty significant ethical implications. If
Yeah.
we were to create AI that's truly sentient, would it have rights? Would we have obligations to it?
That's getting into some pretty heavy stuff. It's like we're entering a whole new realm of ethical considerations.
Yeah.
But for now, let's circle back to the more immediate concerns about AI's impact on the workforce. We talked about the potential for job displacement. What are some concrete things we can do to prepare for these changes?
Well, one crucial step is to invest in education and retraining programs that can equip people with the skills they'll need to thrive in an AI-powered economy.
So we're talking about things like coding, data analysis, and things like that.
Yeah, those are definitely important. But it's not just about technical skills. We also need to cultivate things like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and emotional intelligence. Skills that are uniquely human and harder for AI to replicate.
Right, because those are the skills that will set us apart in a world where AI can automate a lot of those routine tasks.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual skills either. We also need to rethink our social safety nets and consider policies like universal basic income to provide support for workers who are displaced by automation.
That's an interesting idea. It makes you wonder if AI could ultimately lead to a more equitable society, where everyone has the opportunity to pursue their passions and contribute in their own way. But what about the potential for AI to make existing inequalities even worse? Some of the sources mentioned concerns about bias in AI algorithms.
That's a really important issue that we need to address head on. If the data used to train AI algorithms is biased, then the AI system will just perpetuate those biases, which could lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like if you train an AI on a data set of hiring decisions that reflect historical gender bias, the AI might end up recommending more men than women for certain jobs, even if they have the same qualifications.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to make sure that the data used to train AI systems is diverse and representative, and that it reflects the population that we want to serve. We also need to develop ways to audit AI systems to detect and mitigate bias.
So it's not just about developing the technology itself,
Yeah.
but also about developing ethical frameworks and guidelines to make sure that AI is used responsibly and fairly.
Absolutely. And this brings us back to the importance of education. We need to educate ourselves about AI, its capabilities, and its potential pitfalls so that we can make informed decisions about how this technology is developed and deployed.
Yeah, I completely agree. AI literacy is becoming just as essential as traditional literacy in today's world.
For sure. And that's not just for tech experts or policymakers. Everyone needs to be part of the conversation. The future of AI isn't something that's going to be decided by a select few. It's going to be shaped by all of us.
I like that. It means we all have a responsibility to engage in this conversation and make our voices heard. But it can also feel a little overwhelming. There's so much information out there, and the technology is changing so fast. Where do we even begin?
That's where resources like this deep dive come in. It's about breaking down complex concepts, exploring different perspectives, and giving you the tools you need to navigate this complex landscape.
Right? It's about empowering you, the listener, to become an informed and engaged citizen in the age of AI.
And to ask the right questions. Because the questions we ask today will shape the answers we get tomorrow.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. We've explored the philosophical ideas behind AI sentience, the practical implications for the workforce, and the crucial importance of ethical considerations in AI development and deployment. But before we wrap up, let's take a moment to zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, let's zoom out and consider the broader implications of AI for humanity.
One of the sources talked about AI's potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems, like climate change, disease, and poverty.
It's a pretty exciting thought, isn't it? Imagine AI helping us to develop clean energy solutions, cure diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, and create a more just and sustainable world for everyone.
It sounds almost utopian. But is it realistic, or are we just getting carried away with all the hype?
I think it's important to be both optimistic and cautious. AI has incredible potential to do good, but it's not a magic solution. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It all comes down to how we choose to use it.
That's a good point. It reminds us of the ethical considerations we talked about earlier. We need to be thoughtful and intentional about how we develop and use AI, making sure that it aligns with our values and serves the common good.
And that requires ongoing dialogue, critical thinking, and collaboration. We need to bring together diverse voices from all different fields, industries, and cultures to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
I couldn't agree more. It's a collective effort, and it's one that we need to undertake with a sense of urgency and responsibility.
Absolutely. The decisions we make today about AI will have a big impact on future generations. It's up to us to make sure that impact is positive.
I'm ready to keep exploring and discovering. Let's dive into the last part of our deep dive. Wow, it feels like we've gone through the whole world of AI, from the practical stuff to the really philosophical stuff.
We've covered a lot, yeah, from how AI might change the workforce to the idea of machines that can actually think.
But even with all the stuff we don't know, one thing's for sure, AI isn't just some far-off technology. It's already changing our lives in big ways.
Absolutely. And as AI gets even more advanced, it's going to raise even bigger questions about who we are, what matters to us, and what kind of future we want.
It's exciting and kind of scary at the same time, right? Like we're on the edge of something huge.
Yeah, it is. It makes it even more important to have these conversations, to think about the ethical problems, and make sure AI is developed in a way that's good for everyone.
One of the sources talked about how AI could help solve some of the world's toughest problems, like climate change and disease.
Right. There's hope that AI can make a future that's more sustainable and fair. Imagine AI helping us use energy better, reduce waste, and even create personalized treatments for things like cancer and Alzheimer's.
It sounds amazing. But is it really possible, or is that just hype?
I think we got to be both optimistic and careful. AI has a lot of potential for good, but it's not a magic wand. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used in good ways or bad ways. It all depends on us.
True. One thing that keeps coming up is how AI might take away jobs. How do we get ready for a future where AI might be doing a lot of the jobs we have now?
That's a tough question, and there's no easy answer. But one thing's clear. We need to invest in education and retraining programs. so people have the skills they'll need to succeed in an AI-powered economy.
So things like critical thinking, problem-solving, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Stuff that's harder for AI to do.
Exactly. And it's not just about each person learning new skills. It's about creating a society that values learning throughout your life and helps people who are changing careers.
That makes sense. It's about
Yeah.
adapting to how work is changing and being open to new opportunities that AI might create.
And it's about being honest and open about how AI might affect society, good and bad.
We can't just ignore it and pretend AI isn't going to change
Yeah,
things.
we have to be proactive, involved, and informed. We have to make sure AI is developed and used in a way that matches our values.
Values like fairness, justice, and respecting everyone's dignity.
Exactly. Those values have to be our top priority as we explore this new territory.
As we finish this deep dive, I'm left feeling curious, a little nervous, and with a lot of questions. How about you?
I feel the same. It's a time with a lot of unknowns, but also a lot of possibility. The future of AI is still being written, and we all have a part in writing it.
That's what makes it so interesting. It's not just about the technology. It's about what it means to be human in a world where machines are getting smarter and smarter.
It's a question that's going to keep challenging us, inspiring us, and maybe even changing how we see ourselves in the years to come.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to come back up from this deep dive.
Yeah.
But our conversation doesn't have to end here.
No, it's just the beginning. And we hope you keep exploring, asking questions, and engaging with this world of AI that's always changing.
Because the future isn't something that happens to us. It's something we make together.
So let's make a future where AI makes us stronger, makes our lives better, and helps us build a better world for everyone.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those questions coming.